Mysterious place, and it seems to get more and more mysterious with each passing day. One of the main reasons for that is because new species of animals and plants come to light all the time, and not only that, but reports suggest that our vast oceans, which cover over 70% of planet Earth, are over 90% undiscovered. That means that scientists and researchers are always on their toes, as the next biggest discovery ever could be right around the corner. With that said, today we'll be looking at 8 mysterious things recently discovered on Earth. Edited embryos. One of the most controversial practices in science is the idea of cloning animals and studying stem cells. Experts believe that a better understanding of these two things will allow for some very bold scientific instances. For example, if they could perfect cloning things that we eat, such as chickens or cows, then that could literally save the country millions of dollars and thousands of hours in labor each year, and even help solve the food shortage crisis that plagues America and almost every other country in some shape or form. Of course, there would be questions such as the long-term health benefits to eating such meat, so there really are two sides to every coin. But along those lines, in 2017, there was a major headway in terms of science dealing with another phase of this process, which is the embryo. As a matter of fact, in 2017, it was widely reported that scientists in Portland, Oregon had completed steps which allowed them to successfully alter an embryo from a laboratory for the first time ever in the United States. That is, they were able to safely eliminate defects in the embryo, and if perfected, this process can do wonders for mankind moving forward. Of course, there are risks, and at this stage in the research process, the embryos weren't allowed to be planted into the womb with fear that there were some other unintentional abnormalities in the embryo as a result. They're still in the beginning stages of this process, and one slip could lead to very unfortunate circumstances. However, the fact that they were able to eliminate even the smallest defect is a huge step in the right direction. Now, before we're able to move on, check out this fossil and let me know what you think. This is the skull from a blue whale. Isn't it huge? You can tell by the guy standing next to the old bone that he's considerably smaller than the skull. And the two huge eye sockets really let you know that the animal must have been huge. Did you know that the blue whale, when it's fully grown, is the largest animal ever on Earth? They can range anywhere from 80 to 100 feet long, and the biggest one ever recorded was a staggering 108 feet long. So it's no wonder that they have such a big head. Immortal rats. We'll move on. This next discovery is one that just hit the presses about a year and a half ago when it was announced online in January of 2018. If you had to take a guess at which mammals on Earth didn't seem to get closer to death the more that they were alive, then what animal do you think that would be? Do you give up? Well, if you said or thought the naked mole rat, then you'd be exactly right. According to science, when it comes to humans, when all things are equal besides people's age, for each year you have a birthday after the age of 40, your risk of dying literally doubles every 8 years. However, for the naked mole rat, this strange, ugly-looking fellow, that simply isn't the case. As a matter of fact, if a naked mole rat reaches the age of being 25 times that they were when they reached sexual maturity, then there still is no risk in death due to old age. Now, these creatures are already strange, as their wrinkly, shriveled skin might suggest, but tie in the fact that they don't age with their ability to almost never get cancer, these underground rats are still quite the mystery. One scientist was even quoted as saying, the chance of a mole rat dying at 1 year of age or dying at 25 years of age is the same. Drugs that extend life. So all around the world, and especially in some parts here in the States, people are battling drug addictions, whether the drug of choice is an over-the-counter prescription or something a bit more revved up. Whenever you hear the word drugs, they hardly ever come with any good news, perhaps until now. Scientists have discovered that they've discovered a drug that people can take orally that effectively reduces the effect of aging. In fact, when they tested the new supplement on lab mice, they found that the mouse that was treated lived about 36% longer than the ones who didn't, and most of them didn't have to deal with the common effects of old age. Senescent cells are in everyone. And as we get older, these cells lose their ability to function properly. So what ends up happening is that they just sort of linger around, not dead, yet still not fully alive. What the researchers in the Mayo Clinic were able to do, as they claim, was to eliminate these zombie-like senescent cells. In results like the ones I just told you about in the mice. So the real question is, when this drug goes to market, how many of you will be trying it out? More gene editing. A few minutes ago, we spoke about how scientists were able to edit human embryos. Well, about a year ago, a different group of scientists did something else that was highly controversial. Through gene editing, they enabled two same-sex mouse parents to give birth. Yeah, in real life. Now, I'm not sure that this quote-unquote same-sex mouse parents were even a couple, as I'm not sure how all that works in the animal world. There's no questioning that this event does raise some moral questions, however. Also, they commented that this ability isn't quite ready to be tested on humans, so same-sex couples will have to wait a bit longer before they're able to produce and birth a baby on their own. Oldest fossil known to man. Many people know, well, at least those of us who paid attention back in earth science classes, that the grand age of the dinosaurs ended roughly 60 million years ago. Well, if you'd ask most people, I trust that a lot of them will say that that's when life began on Earth. But as it turns out, there's some evidence out there suggesting that life actually started much, much sooner than that, by about 500 million years. In a discovery that's been labeled as the holy grail of paleontology, a creepy, small creature called the Dickinsonia was recently confirmed to live over 550 million years ago, which makes it the earliest known member of the animal world. And the truly crazy thing is that this fossil was originally discovered back in 1947, but it wasn't until evidence researched by scientists in 2018 that this conclusion was drawn. The fossil was remarkably well preserved, which allowed the scientists to dig a little deeper into its past, even claiming to have found cholesterol, which they've labeled as the hallmark of animal life. Ancient turtles. We'll stay in the world of ancient fossils because there are some really cool ones that have come out recently, and up next, we'll talk about a nearly perfect one that dates back over 220 million years. According to a report that came out in the fall of 2018, over in China, this age-old turtle fossil was discovered. The find was amazing, of course, but there was one mysterious difference that separated this turtle with any other that we recognize from modern day. It doesn't seem to have had a shell. Yeah, a shellless turtle. Now, of course, this is an amazing find because it was always thought that the turtle's shell was simply a part of the creature that's been around for hundreds of millions of years. But it appears as if that piece of the puzzle evolved onto the reptile at some point within the last 150 million years or so. The turtle's shell serves many purposes, including not only protection, but also it enables them to spend more time underwater. So whenever they get more proof as to when the turtle's shell came about, we'll be sure to share that information with you right here as soon as we get it. Hidden lake on Mars. One of the biggest hotbeds of things just waiting to be discovered isn't actually something that's down here on Earth. Instead, it's on a planet many millions of miles away. Of course, we're talking about Mars, and the big red planet recently has given us a brief light into the past. New evidence suggests that there is a large underground lake right near the South Pole. Pretty crazy, right? However, yet somehow not totally unexpected. There has been several pieces of evidence over the years to suggest that there was, at least at some point, some sort of flowing water on the unexplored planet, but further research will determine just how much and what kind of water there is all the way up there, all those light years away. So today's special recognition goes to none other than just Brian 707, who